Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Thursday morning. Glad you're here. Today we're going to have two guests in the house. First up will be Peter Nazaridian. He's our family therapist here. We'll talk about love and marriage. That's right. And then the last part of our program, we'll talk about the Armenian Festival coming up this weekend. You can call in at 436-MeTV option 11. Connect with Me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Glad you're back with us here on a Thursday morning. Connect with Me, and a lot to talk about on this day. We're going to be here with our resident family therapist. He'll talk about love and marriage and all the things that go with it. And also, we'll talk about the Armenian Festival that's coming up. It's a big one. We'll have a special guest in the house today to talk about what to expect this coming weekend with all the food and all the dancing and all the music that goes along with it. It's almost like Greek Fest all over again out there in, I don't know where it's going to be held. So we'll ask our guests today and we'll talk about those two issues. In the meantime, you're watching us live on Comcast Channel 375. As usual, it's Comcast Cable. But not to worry, my friends, if you don't have Comcast Cable, I've said this a million times over, maybe 1,000,001. If you don't have Comcast, 43.6 and 13.1 over-the-air broadcast with a digital antenna. And then 2 o'clock in the afternoon is the replay of this program, 13.6 YouTube, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. And after that, you can go to our webpage, Ventura Broadcasting, on the internet. Just Google it, and you can go right to the Connect with Me webpage. It'll take you to all of our broadcasts. Hey, today we're talking about love and marriage, and the question is, well, there are a couple of questions, and actually there are a whole lot of questions that we may not get to on this program today. Let me bring out just a couple of them. Number one, is it better to be alone than to be with the wrong person? That's a huge question that a lot of people are facing these days, especially after divorce number one, maybe after divorce number two, and heaven forbid, man, something's going on if you got divorce number three going, right? That's a question you got to answer. Am I doing something wrong, and do I want to be with a person that just isn't right for me because I don't want to be alone, or is it just better to be alone? And the second part of that question is, what about couples counseling? When is it too early to go, if you go at all? Well, we have another expert. I think Dr. Phil tried to answer that same question on a recent episode of The Doctors. When is it too soon to go to couples counseling? Listen up.
Please welcome our very special guest today, Dr. Phil. Welcome, sir. Good to have you, as always. So glad to have you because this first topic is right up your alley. We know that therapy is a useful tool for those struggling with relationship issues, but people now in newly formed relationships, they're scheduling appointments very early on with therapists. And the question, of course, is how early is too early? Apparently, people within the first month or so of a relationship, they're going for preventative counseling. Is there a time when, maybe it's too soon, or is this a good thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a time when it's too soon. Look, we do too much therapy in this country. And I think therapy, when it's indicated and needed, I encourage people to go do it. But if you've taken somebody for a cheeseburger and a movie, and you schedule an appointment something's wrong. It should not be that hard that soon. So no, you do that when you say, okay, this is somebody that I have a future with. This is somebody I'm willing to invest in. This is somebody that I'm willing to expose myself to, learn about, put something on the table. You don't go to a relationship therapy with a casual relationship. You don't do that early. Come on, you're wasting your time.
All right, we're going to talk about all this with our resident family therapist, Peter Nazaridian, who's running a couple of minutes late. He's attending to some clients here. But I got to tell you something, my friends. I don't know if it's better to be alone or better to be with someone just because you're lonely, even if that person is the wrong person. And what about this couples counseling business? Does counseling work? And if you go on a date number one, date number two, is that too early to go to counseling, or is that a big red flag, or maybe two red flags, that if you have to go to counseling after one or two dates, something is drastically wrong? I don't know. Our guy, Dr. Phil, you just heard him on the videotape, but our resident family therapist, Peter Nazaridian, is going to weigh in on this. Are you having troubles at home, my friend? You having trouble finding a date? Well, I don't know. All of these things keeping you up at night. 436-ME-TV, option 11. We're back with our program right after this.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV Appliance, and you, when only the best will do.
Back here on the program, and our resident family therapist, Peter Nazaridian, is here. Running a couple minutes late. We know you have clients, and they're talking about love and marriage, right? That's on their minds, right, Peter?
All the time. Everything. Exactly what you said.
You're agreeing with what I said?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
scary.
I'm an agreeing fellow today.
Oh, my God. That worries me. Man, there must be something wrong with me. I don't know. So what about this notion here? We played the videotape and the monologue, and Dr. Phil talking about, he was on a recent episode with the doctors. Very good program. Runs on CBS at 9 o'clock in the morning. See, I'm promoting another station. I don't know why I'm doing that. But he basically said, look, one or two dates and you're going to counseling, you got major issues. So when is the proper time to seek couples counseling if you need it?
Well, let's back up a little bit. You're having a couple of dates, and one of you suggests going to counseling. First of all, that seems like a pretty insightful heads-up kind of thing to do. I like you. We may have a couple of issues. I want to see this relationship build. Let's see if we have a future. I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing. One person saying, let's go to counseling, either they're a chronic, let's go to counseling to fix all our problems, which would not be terribly healthy, or they think, I really like you, but, you got a couple of rough edges maybe. I'd like to see if maybe we can polish those off because I see some real potential for us. So I don't necessarily think that's such a horrible thing. But having said that, let's move it to a little different arena. Premarital counseling. Not pre-dating counseling, but premarital counseling. I think that's an excellent idea. I've had more and more clients coming in saying, we've been going together now a couple of years, we're getting married, we want to come in and just kind of check us for leaks. Do we have good communication styles? Do we feel the same way about raising children? Are there some issues in the family like culture or religion or something like this that we need to address before we get married? Because most people, I'll tell you, John, most people don't do that. They just have fun and they're enjoying each other and, having lots of sex, and which is great.
And when something major pops up, then the lid blows off.
Well, we didn't really have a protocol for that. We didn't figure that out. You get drunk when you get stressed. I didn't really notice that. And now I'm kind of worried that that's your go-to. That's the kind of thing we want to look at. So no, with all due respect to Dr. Phil, I'm not so sure that talking about counseling at any stage of a relationship is a terrible thing.
Really? Well, I don't think he said it was a terrible thing. He just said that it kind of raises a red flag a little bit if you need to go that early to couples counseling. And is it too much? I mean, in the old days, the old days, I guess I'm living in the past, but the thing is, if you have to go to a counselor every time something goes wrong, maybe you shouldn't be together. Am I right?
Well, again, you're setting up kind of arbitrary. Every time something goes wrong, that's a little broad strokey. But if that's actually what we're looking at, every time we have a beef, let's go to counseling. Yeah, that does seem a little needy. We can't fix it. We need to go to somebody. On the flip side of that, if it turns out that one or both of them doesn't have good communication skills, didn't have a good problem-solving template with their family put in place, and let's say she loves to talk about issues and solve problems, and let's say he avoids them like the plague and gets angry and shouts and slams the door and walks out. She loves the guy, but he just doesn't have a good style. He doesn't have a good way of solving problems. What's wrong with going to somebody and suggesting that would be a way to do it? If she could do it, she probably would have said it. Sometimes just hearing it from a professional makes a huge difference.
See, maybe that's what we've lost in our society. I mean, you're talking about this is the message that you're sending to me anyway. I don't know about anybody else out there that's watching. 436 MeTV option 11. Got an open phone line if you're having some issues at home these days, and would be unusual. But and I hope you're not, by the way. I'm not encouraging that. I hope you're not. But if you are, call in. So the message I'm getting is that you're saying that to get to know somebody, you should go to counseling. Why can't you just get to know somebody just by dating them?
Well, in an ideal world, you would. But when you meet somebody for the first time, you go to a bar or a social event and you meet somebody, what do you know about that person?
Well, you get to know them over time.
All you know is what they look like. When you meet somebody initially, all you know is what they look like. How are we attracted to people? Oh, who's that blonde over there? Who's that guy with the rippling abs? We don't even know who they are, but at a distance we see something we like. We only know what they look like. Now, getting to know somebody. Let's also you've had some relationships in your life. The first 6 months of a relationship, don't you put your best foot forward? Isn't that when you get cards and flowers? I'm trying to win you over and dazzle you. And in the 1930s, you'd go over to your girlfriend's house and play the ukulele or row her around in a canoe or something. But now, take you on a date, go to a concert, go to dinner. What else are you going to do? And how well do you get to know somebody when you're putting on your best face? Is that really who you are? Is that really who they are? No. Take it a step further. Once you start having sex, and that's happening,
caller.
That's happening earlier and earlier in relationships. Once you start having sex, everything stops for 6 months. You don't get to know about somebody for 6 months. You're so busy exchanging hopes and dreams, ideas, experiences, and body fluids that we don't even know what's going on. So there is a big chunk of time. Getting to know somebody sounds wonderful. Date them and get to know them. No, you don't. You're so busy putting up that veneer for the first 6 months, you don't get to know them at all. You don't really start to know somebody for 2 years.
All right. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Peter.
Hi, Dr. Pete. I got a real quick question, or I'm just curious. I know you've been in the business for many, many years. Over the last several decades, I guess, what do you think about the online dating, and how has that impacted relationships in general? And do you see people that have problems that met online, or is it, do those kind of things work? Not that I'm in the dating field, but I'm just curious about the impact of these online dating sites on people's relationships over the last, I guess, maybe 2 decades. They'll take my answer over the air. Thanks.
You bet. What a great question. Online dating has become the new bar scene. Go to an online dating service and sign up, and then you'll get a lot of hits. I've seen it work very well. I've seen also most times when I have females come in and they're trying online dating, what they wind up saying is, there's nothing but jerks out there. 100 guys say, "Oh, you look interesting. I like your profile." And all they really want to do is see if they can get in your pants. That's really what it comes down to. Out of 100,
what are the guys saying about it?
They're just trying to get lucky. For the most part, you see a lot of guys hitting. A new girl comes on a dating site. Suddenly, she gets 75 to 100 hits right away because she's fresh meat. All the guys jump on it, and then she goes through the pictures, and tries to pick somebody that she likes again by looks, because that's all we know at first. And then they try to be cute and clever. So, can it work? Yes. Have I seen it work? Yes. Is it also basically a meat market just in a different format? Kinda. I'm not being discouraging. What I will tell anybody out there is this, and this is mostly for men. The more you pay to be on a dating site, the better the quality of the person you're going to meet. when they're free, when they're next to
How do
nothing.
you know that for
that's-
sure? How do you know that?
Because I've been doing this for a while.
No, tell me how you know. I want to know how you
John
know
seems
that.
very interested suddenly.
And I want to know how much. I mean, how much do you have to pay to get on a better dating website? I mean, how much do you have to pay? How much would you say is a reasonable amount to get on a dating website that is credible, reasonable, and you're meeting decent people?
Well, I wish I could make it so simple as that. What I will say is there's some that are free. Those are obviously going to be nice hookup sites, but you're not going to get much quality. They don't vet them very well.
Okay.
The other part of it is a place, for example, that I won't name them, but they're in San Francisco and New York and a few others, matchmaking. And a man will pay up to $2,000, maybe more, to be matched up with a girl. Now, the flip side of that is the girls that sign up for those sites are vetted within an inch of their life. They usually speak several languages. They go to Ivy League colleges.
Are you talking about $2,000 a month?
No.
Oh, okay. You're talking about $2,000
Just to get on the thing, yeah.
as a flat fee.
If a guy's going to pay a couple of grand to meet a girl, the girls they're going to match him up with are going to be high-class girls. No one's going to take that kind of money. But now, if you pay $35, if you pay $100, obviously every increment that you go up, the quality gets better. So there's no cutoff point. It's just that the more you pay to be on the dating site, the better quality you're going to get. Now, that's a broad stroke. I'm not saying there aren't jerks on the expensive ones too, or nice guys on the free ones. But overall, the more you pay for it, the better quality. That's kind of the way it is in life, though, don't you? The more you pay for something, the better quality you get. Isn't that the way it is with everything?
Yeah, I guess it is, but there's no blanket statement with that, and there's no guarantee that you're going to end up with a quality person just because you pay $2,000.
That's correct.
So
That's
how
correct.
do you? I guess you have to do a lot of research and find out which one of these sites is for you.
Yeah, and
What brand of person are you looking for?
Exactly. What do you want? Somebody who speaks 3 languages and has an Ivy League college? There are plenty of guys who would say, "Whoa, that's way out of my league." Other people would say, I'm a busy executive. I don't get a chance to date very much, but that's the kind of woman I want. So I want it to come to me.
Yeah, what's wrong with speaking 2 or 3 languages? That wouldn't bother me.
No, well, for a lot of guys might be intimidated by that.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't bother me at all.
Well,
I mean,
then, obviously that's good for you. Not everybody's as comfortable and secure. So I'm just saying, the more you pay for it, the better quality you're going to get. Unfortunately, even if you meet somebody who has all the parameters on paper, doesn't mean that when you finally meet, there's that click. You still got to have that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Super Bowl and World Series. Gee, on paper, the Yankees should beat the Dodgers in the World Series. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
That's correct.
Same thing.
Odds are, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely not. No, it's like any place else. It's a crapshoot. But it just gets better with...
Oh, another call coming in here. Let's see. Let's take this one. Go ahead. Caller, you're on the air with... I almost said Dr. Phil. I won't say... Don't worry. You have a lot more hair than he does. But anyway, it's Peter Nazarinian, our family therapist. He's been doing this a long time, my friends. Go ahead.
Yeah, John. Hi, Peter. I got to clear this issue up with John real quick. Monday, you said that we were going to be talking about, and for us to phone in about the NFL taking a knee.
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow because one of the guests that is a professor at Fresno State, he teaches a class at this very same time on Thursdays, and he couldn't make it. So I asked Peter to switch. So Peter's here on Thursday. We'll talk about the NFL tomorrow. So that'll be a big hour show talking about the National Football League and taking a knee or sitting down for the anthem. So you can tune in and ask a question tomorrow about the NFL, but not today. But if you have a question today, you got a little problem going on at home there? I hope not.
Well, let's say it's like these people. Can we have the doctor break it down on, say, the millennials versus the Generation X's, and the free speech will get you, violence and violated on by these people because they don't have any tolerance for free speech, basically, if it doesn't match what they're saying. How do we go about doing this and staying out of jail defending ourselves? Because even if it's a peaceful protest rally, like down in the Tower District, these people are foaming at the mouth, or worse, just to get the message of peace across. I mean, can he break down the psychology behind what's going on both sides of this?
He will do that. But let me ask you a question. Do you have any questions about love and marriage?
I pretty much know how that's gonna go.
Are you?
No, I don't. I just wish everybody good luck on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so do I. All right. All right, caller. Thank you very much. Kind of off topic today, but go ahead.
Well, you know, he was talking about, I think, protesting and that sort of thing, and I'm going to take half of that. And what's the difference between the millennials versus the baby boomers, let's say?
Generation X.
Yeah, Generation X and all those in between in terms of how they approach dating. I'm going to twist the question just a little bit to serve our purposes.
Yeah.
Of course, the way kids date today is much different than it was in the old days because, like I was saying earlier, gosh, it wasn't until 1935 that more people lived in cities than on farms in this country, which means that you lived on a farm, you were one of 11 kids, and you got to town maybe once a month for a barn dance, and maybe you got to the big city, which is, you know, a small city really, maybe twice a year. And there was one eligible girl in the county, and you and 3 other guys would go over to her house and try to court her by playing the ukulele or reciting a poem or rowing her in a canoe or pushing her in a swing, and then she would pick the best one, and then you would go move to another farm and start raising kids, and that's the way that went. Then suddenly people started moving to cities. And then there were apartment buildings with hundreds of people, and there were office buildings with thousands of people, and there were magazine covers, and there were newspapers, and there were pictures everywhere. And suddenly, when you lived on a farm, all those years, who are you going to have an affair with, farm animals aside? So you had to actually think in terms of having a relationship with somebody. Well, now, flash forward. Now, with dating online and everything else, there's a gazillion places you can go to get dates. Doesn't mean they'll be good ones, but you can get them. So the difference between baby boomers, which is pretty much, I'll take you out, buy you a little something, we'll get to know each other, maybe make out in the back seat, kind of that American Graffiti kind of relationship,
Yeah.
which was kind of fun, and that was very nice, innocent in its own way. Nowadays, there's an app called Tinder. I'm sure you've heard swipe right, swipe left. If you look, somebody looks good, you swipe a certain way, and they get it, and they look at if they like you, then they say the same thing, let's hook up. Basically, I don't know who you are, but let's find a bed. Instant. And our generation, that was unheard of, absolutely unheard of. And if a girl was going to do that, you knew the kind of girl she was. You didn't want to be, that wasn't the kind of girl you wanted to have. So huge difference in the way the boomers versus Generation X versus the way the millennials are doing it. I'll get into more details later on if you like in terms of what the kids are doing, how early they're getting sexual experience, how comfortable it is for them to be sexually active at a very young age. Scares the crap out of parents, but it's the march of time.
Yeah.
Big difference, big difference.
All right. When we come back here, 436 MeTV option 11. We have an open phone line if you want to talk to Peter. And by the way, those of you expecting a National Football League program today, it'll be tomorrow talking about the flag. And I'm going to put this call on hold for a moment here. Caller, I have to put you on hold. I've got to take a commercial break. We're going to come back. Yeah, stay on hold there. Don't hang up, and we'll get right to you after the commercial break. We'll also, on the other side, talk about what kind of an effect that Hugh Hefner had on this country, the sexual revolution of the late 50s and early 60s, obviously, with Playboy magazine. We know last night he died at the age of 91. Back in a moment.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
How then do you cut your losses? I think the problem is so many of us don't have the language nor the skills to exit.
Well, first thing you got to do is you truly have to believe yourself. So you've got to listen to that voice and hear it. It's there for a reason. Call it gut feeling, intuition, instinct, whatever. When you get that feeling, that should send off bells. Listen, 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 listen. And you're wanting somebody to be better than they really are.
Yeah.
That's why I always see people write me and say, you know, I've been divorced for like 9 months, and we went out to dinner, and I really miss him. No, you don't. No, you don't. You miss who you wish he had been. You miss the man you wish you were married to, not the man you were married to.
Hit a nerve right here. Hit it. I see it hit. Oh, pull your toes in. He just stepped all on him. I got it. I see it. Yeah.
Have you done that?
Yes.
And what did you tell yourself? Can we get a mic over here? We have a new victim. I'm sorry. No, what did you tell yourself?
I've been in that exact situation where I wanted somebody to be who I wanted them to be, and in all reality, they were showing me signs of totally being somebody else.
Yeah.
So I had a blinder on because this is who I perceive them to be.
Yeah.
And always perceive them to be.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Aisha.
Aisha? Okay.
Yes.
Isn't that what so many people do, though? That they're in love with the idea of who they wish that person could be?
Oh, of course. We romanticize and we fill in all the gaps. You know, it's like you look up at the Big Dipper. There's no Big Dipper up there. We have to fill in the gaps to make it a Big Dipper. So you find a guy that, well, you know, he's breathing. He has a car.
Maybe.
He told me I was pretty.
He has a car.
He told me I was pretty, and you're filling in the gaps to make him Mr. Wonderful in between. The bigger gap you're having to fill, the bigger problem you've got.
All right. So, by the way, I want to ask you, how come you don't have your own talk show? You're just as knowledgeable and educated as Dr. Phil. He's making millions. What do you got?
This is it. You're my talk show.
All right. So is he right? You miss the person that you wish he was?
Well,
miss the dinner?
No, I think there's a lot to that. What we're really looking for is I want this to be the kind of relationship I want it to be. So we do overlook a lot of faults. You know, sometimes that's what I'll do is I'll have a client say they got out of a relationship and now, you know, they're unhappy and we're counseling. And I say, all right, so let's make a want list. Let's make a want list. Let's put down 10 things that you really think are the kind of qualities you want. And we assume, you know, if I'm talking to a gal, I assume you want tall, dark, and handsome. Leave out the physical stuff. You want a guy that's, you know, strong, got rippling abs and blah, blah, blah. Let's assume that the appearance is
No
okay.
beer gut, huh?
Yeah, and they're not baldy and they're not, you know, have a wart with hair growing out of it. Okay, let's assume that they're good-looking guys. What other qualities do you want in somebody? Character traits. You'd be surprised how many girls kind of stop and go,
I don't know.
They really don't know what they're looking for. They just kind of, first of all, we start with looks. I said a moment ago, the only thing we know about somebody when we first meet them is what they look like. Well, if they're a hunk of burning love, you know, and they got a cleft in their chin and, you know, tall, and they got flashing eyes and how you doing, right, and it looks like the image, a lot of that stuff kind of goes away. I don't really care. I just want you to be like this guy, the image that you present. And the reality is we all put our best foot forward for 6 months. So is this that really who that person is? No. So I said make a want list.
Yeah.
What are the characteristics you want? And we'll go through those. I want somebody, let's say they say that somebody's honest or somebody that's caring, whatever those pieces might be, and we break it down and figure out what does that really mean? And you find out that if you put down 10 characteristics of somebody and really explore what those 10 characteristics mean, now you've got a framework.
Yeah.
Most people don't have that framework in their head. They just go out looking good and hoping for somebody who looks good.
But is he right when he says that you know, it's what I think you should be, not what that person really is?
Well, it's perception, and perception is reality.
I want somebody to be somebody they're not.
Yeah. Let's say in your mind your dad is a great guy, or Uncle Bob, or Tom Hanks, or whoever it might be. I want that kind of guy. And if they look like that kind of guy, well, now, can you be like that? Can you have that kind of quality? Yeah. You don't get to know somebody like that for 2 years, so you're not going to know.
All right. Caller, what say you? Are you a victim? Are you a victim, or are you calling to ask
Not bad, not bad. I'd say so far so good.
All right.
We have our disagreements, and we're both Christians. We try to resolve them. We actually attend worship service together, and I always promise God that whoever I met has to come with me to worship service. Okay. And God did provide that. She's Catholic, I was Protestant, but we go to an Armenian church that we both can relate to. So I'm going to give you a couple of questions. John, you got a pencil with you?
Yeah, go.
I don't want to take, I don't want, Dr. Peter, I'm going to call you Dr. Peter, and you okayed it, I think. I'll do it until you say no. Okay, first question. how many, this is kind of maybe an office secret that you might have. How many times does it take for an office visit that the couple gets, kind of resolves some of their, disappointments, or you could say they're upset with each other, and to resolve some of their, some of their aggressive moods, and just living together? That's my first question. And then couples, and then couples not being together. Do you see couples not being together why they ever got married? Second question. And John, I'm going to add one more. Do you counsel people that are not married during your office visit? And those are the three, if you possibly can answer it. And thank you, Dr. Peter, for being there.
All right, and before you go, you're doing okay with your marriage, right? You're doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thank God, yes.
And what's your
I'm
secret?
70, almost 74 in October.
What's your quick secret? Is it going to church, you said?
Yeah, I think a lot of it. We met at a singles group, Christian singles group. It was probably the first one in Fresno, and it was non-denominational.
Okay.
Or interdenominational, and it worked. It worked.
Okay, will do.
And
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So, Fatima, how many times do I have to come and see Peter Nazaridian before my issues with my better half are resolved? How many visits?
I wish I could say it's as simple as a number, because that indicates that everybody has the same problem. Everything gets fixed in the same amount of time. It can't be. For some people, one visit, like a premarital session I had some time ago, they came in, and after the session, I realized these people do it pretty well. They seem to actually have a handle on it. They just needed some reinforcement, maybe a couple little tweaks here and there. They were fine. I've had other couples come in, and I've been seeing them for a year and a half, and they're still struggling to try to figure out how to do it. So it just depends on a couple of things. Number one, what skills do you bring into the mix? If a person can be loving and compassionate and kind and a huge one, accepting of their own issues. Sometimes you have to own it. Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of get angry because I'm scared, and I push you away because I don't want to admit that I don't know what I'm doing. So I just get angry, and then the conversation stops. Good. That's a good recognition. Right. Now we know what we can unravel.
Do some couples have so many problems that you just say, you know what, I can't help you, just get out of my office?
No, I never do that, although I'm pretty honest, so I will say, you guys, and sometimes it's interesting, John, a couple will get into a little bit of beef in the office, and I'll just sit back and let them fight. Just let them fight. I'll go 2, 3, 4 minutes and just watch it, because I just want to see what they do. And then I'll ask them, is this what you do at home? When you have a beef, am I seeing what you do? And they will look at me kind of, and I go, yeah, good. Now I just saw what the problem is. Now I can see you cut her off, you don't listen, you're more interested in getting your point made, you want to be right, whatever that piece is. Now I can see what it is. There's no number of sessions. It's a matter of, it's like when you walk to the guy and you say, my car's not working as I hear some noises. How long is it going to take to fix it? He can't, 20 minutes. He can't give you a time. I have to figure out what's wrong. I have to get in there and find out what's going on. Then I can give you some idea what it is. So relationships are like that. You sort of have to see what you have before you can give it time. So there's no set time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got to put this call on hold. Quickly, 2 more questions before we go to break. Couples not being together. Do you ever see couples that come in and you say to yourself, why did they ever get married in the first place?
Well, couples that are together, yes, sometimes I wonder what was the attraction. Sometimes she's just desperate. She wants to get out of the house. She thought she'd, all her friends were getting married. There's all kinds of reasons that aren't very good ones.
And do you counsel couples who are not married?
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea. More and more people are opting not to get married these days, but they do have a committed relationship.
Your phone number, real quick.
252-9700.
All right, we got a call waiting. Got to take a break. 436-MeTV, option 11. Don't forget, second part of this program, we'll talk about the Armenian Fest that's coming up this weekend. So get ready for plenty of food, and lots of dancing, lots of music. Back in just a moment.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenneth, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. Me TV. Thanks for watching.
Look, this is not easy stuff. And in America, I think we quit too soon on relationships. I really do. And I don't think you're ready to end a marriage or a committed relationship until you can honestly walk out the door and say, I have no unfinished emotional business with this person. I've completed all of my business with them. I've done everything I could possibly do. I've gone to therapy. I've read books. I've gone to see our pastor. I've talked to trusted friends. I've changed me. I've done everything I can do, and I am at peace that I can walk out this door, and if someday my adult child looks at me and says, how come I had to grow up without my mom or my dad? You'll have an answer besides, well, we just weren't having fun anymore.
All right, translate for us, Peter, in plain English what he was talking about, because I'm not sure I followed that, because it seemed like it was kind of all over the map there.
What he's looking at is, how do you know you're done? And I've seen this many times in the office. You know, usually it's the woman who's trying very hard to have a good relationship, wants to have a loving, warm, connected relationship, and he is not interested. Yeah, the original attraction, let's be dead honest here, folks. The original attraction for a lot of relationships is you look hot, I want to have sex with you. Okay, that's what singles do every weekend, that's fine. If that's the basis of the relationship, that's kind of thin.
Well, if they're both happy with that, let's say.
And that's great. Or they're doing hookup or Tinder. Okay, that today's. I'm not saying that's a terrible thing, but if you're looking for a relationship, and you say, I've tried everything I can. This guy, he won't stop drinking, or he won't stop doing what he's doing. I love him. He's a good guy, but I can't live with the way he operates. So you, as he says, you do everything you can. And many times I've had husbands being dragged unwillingly into counseling because the wife very much wants to fix it. He's not interested.
All right, so let me relate this to sports terms. So you have to leave it all on the field or all on the court. Don't leave anything behind. Just leave it all out there and let the chips fall where they may.
Be honest. The biggest thing I can tell you when you talk to somebody, be honest about the relationship, and if they don't want to respond to it, then maybe you're in the wrong relationship.
Okay, caller, you're on with Peter Nazaridian. What's your question about love and marriage?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. My wife's my wife's father, her father's wife has gone to her family, so they're essentially the father is going to be kind of like out in the street. So her and her 7 brothers and sisters are going to have to figure out a way to take him in. And I'm getting the message that we're going to have to take in my father-in-law. And my fear is that once we take him in, we're not going to be able to be the same in terms of husband and wife because, we can't be as affectionate as we are openly in the house because, my father-in-law's there. We can't, be affectionate when we go to bed because, your father-in-law's down the hall, And so we can't really be ourselves the way we were as a husband and wife because the father-in-law's in the house. And I'm fearful that that's going to affect my marriage and it's going to lead to disruption and in the end, separation and divorce. And so how do you conquer that, or how do you?
Okay, got it. Hey, next time you call in, mute your television because we can hear that in the background, and it's hard.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to mute your TV, but I appreciate that. We'll take your answer off the air. I appreciate the call.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, this is a very awkward situation. Of course, for many, many years, it was expected that the elderly members of the family would get to live with the younger people. That was just the way it was. Nowadays, we have nursing homes and other arrangements. The caller mentioned they had several siblings, I think seven siblings, and, looks like you're the one that's going to have to take him in, or your wife's dad. Everything you say is true. You will, in fact, be inhibited. He will, in fact, be disrupting the household. It's going to be hard to get busy, if he's, padding down the hall. There's no doubt about this. So you have 2 options. Number 1, boundaries. Sorry, would love to take him in, but we can't. He's going to have to go somewhere else. And just, set the boundary. The wife may not be willing to do that. Let's say she's the oldest and she's expected to do it. Let's say she's the only one that lives in the area. I mean, there may be many reasons that this is the logical way to do it. No is a good answer. What do you owe your parents? I'm going to get difficult here for 1 second. What do you owe your parents for 18 years of food, clothing, and shelter? The answer is nothing. If they did a great job and were very loving and kind, you may wish to do something later in life because you love them.
Maybe she feels obligated.
Maybe she does, and that's what you know. That's you. If you can't say no, then you have to figure out. Okay, so he's going to live with us. What are we going to do? Are we going to do date night? Are we going to put some extra insulation in the wall so he can't hear us? Are we going to build a little father-in-law, place out
Cottage
back?
out in the back.
Yeah, we got what are the other options, rather than just struggle and suffer. But I would start with: is it really your job to take him in? Now, I'm not suggesting you turn your parents away. Don't get me wrong. But there are 7 brothers and sisters. Apparently, the 6 of them are saying no, and your wife is going, I don't know. I guess I have to. Why can't she say no? Why can't somebody else take the burden? Why can't he move from everybody takes a month with dad?
Maybe the other siblings are having the same issues.
Exactly. Or
I don't know.
Or you say he lives 3 months with us, and then he goes and lives 3 months with somebody else, and 3 months with somebody else. Okay.
Well, that wouldn't be good.
Well,
either.
It's better for them than disrupting. He's fearing having a divorce of his relationship. That's not good either.
That's a tough call. I don't know what the answer is.
I mean, should dad have put himself in a place where he doesn't have to be living off his kids? Well, sure, there's another question too, but I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on anybody. But the reality is, if you don't want this to affect your relationship and you feel it will, no is a complete answer.
Wow, that is a tough question.
Yeah, there's no magic.
There's no real answer. You just have to play it by ear, I guess.
Yeah, don't you get 7 siblings? Don't get coerced if there's other options.
Right.
Don't feel you have to.
I want to go through this list here of some of the warning signs that I saw online. Before I do that, let me ask you about the sexual revolution and how Hugh Hefner added to that in the early 60s and how all this changed. And now you got this movie coming out here in Fresno this weekend called The Battle of the Sexes. Bobby Riggs versus Billie Jean King. That took place in 1973. It was Bobby Riggs, the ultimate chauvinist pig, of course. How did the women's revolution? How did Hugh Hefner? How did both of those change the American psyche in terms of love, marriage, dating, and the sexual revolution?
Well, I think everybody knows it opened it wide up. For the first time, you realize that. I mean, this is kind of silly and self-disclosing, but I remember 14 years old, being able to buy, a
Playboy magazine,
a magazine, and opening up, and I was shocked. John, did you know that women have nipples?
Yeah,
it was a big shock.
Wow.
And
huge shock,
but that was like, oh my goodness! It wasn't just titillating. It wasn't just we'll take it all off, except. Suddenly, there it was. They were naked women. Yes, it was a sexual revolution. It was like, oh my God, for young men, it was amazing.
So Hefner had a major impact.
Huge.
On how we look at love and marriage.
Probably single-handedly changed the face of how we of dating. Love and marriage, not so much, because Playboy was never a love and marriage magazine. It was a dating magazine. Let's have some fun.
No,
get
but those
together.
who were seeking love and marriage, it may have changed their minds.
Absolutely. Now men are expecting women to be a little bit more open and free, which turns out that worked out over a period of time. But it changed from the conservative, the 1930s and 40s of grandpa, to now we can be a little bit more whoop-de-doo. And of course, the styles and fashions, skirts, hems, lines went up. So, oh yes, it was all in there.
Yeah, and by the way, Hugh Hefner died last night at the age of 91. The first Playboy magazine cover came out with Marilyn Monroe back in 1953. That was a long time ago, before I was born, by the way.
Well, look, just to match it up, 1953, what was on television? Father Knows Best, Donna Reed, Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
These are in that. And
all the oldies.
So here's Hugh Hefner putting out a skin mag in an era of lollipops and roses.
And had Bobby Riggs, and I don't know if Bobby Riggs actually threw the match on purpose against Billie Jean. There's a lot of speculation about that. But the fact is, Billie Jean King beat him in the Astrodome in 1973, September 20th, I believe. So how did that change anything?
No. That was fun. It was interesting. It was sort of part and parcel of what was going on.
But the women's movement.
Yeah, it certainly helped move that along and exemplify it. But did that match change anything on its own? No.
It didn't?
No.
Okay, quickly. I got to go to break, but I want you yes or no answers. 8 warning signs. If someone is arrogant and entitled, they feel that.
Yeah, that's
a warning sign.
That's definitely a warning sign.
All right. Lack of empathy. Warning sign.
Same characteristic. Yes.
No remorse. No guilt.
Yep.
Irresponsible, self-destructive.
Yes.
Thriving on drama.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big one. Bragging about how smart they are. All right.
All of these you're talking about are
fantasy world and delusional.
Yeah. All of these are personality disorders. These are not just traits and characteristics. All of what you just said are personality disorder traits.
They are?
Whole of the kettle of fish there.
But if you see that, run the other
Yeah,
direction.
personality disorders are forever. If that's what you're going to get, that's what you're always going to get.
All right, Armenian Festival coming up here on Connect with Me, 436 MeTV option 11. Back in just a moment.
Yeah, I can stay.
Yeah.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV guide.
The Armenian Cultural Foundation of Fresno invites you to one of Central California's largest cultural events of the year, the Grand Armenian Festival. Experience breathtaking dance performances, heartwarming children's shows, and dance to energetic live concerts by world-renowned Armenian singers. Enjoy mouth-watering food, Fresno's famous purpur, unique cultural exhibits, gifts and collectibles, children's play park, farmers market, and more. The Grand Armenian Festival takes place on Saturday, September 30th at the beautiful California Armenian Home in Fresno. Doors open at 10 a.m., parking is free, and admission is only $5 a person. For more details, sponsorship opportunities, and event schedule, visit FresnoArmenianFest.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook for event updates and more. The Grand Armenian Festival is your place to be.
And away we go.
Here's the place that makes you smile. Stick around and stay a while. We're the home of great TV. That's memorable. That's me.
Follow me, sir.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be a guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
All you have to do is watch.
It's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer. And now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back here on the show, Connect with Me, MeTV Fresno, and time to talk about the Armenian Festival that's coming up. Peter is here because he's Armenian. I don't know if you're going to the festival or not, but we've got Ara Kachatourian here. He is like almost the public relations director. You might want to get that microphone a little bit closer to you, Ara, so people at home will be able to hear you. Tell us about the festival that's coming up a little bit closer. Move it closer to the edge there. And tell us about what's happening this weekend, who, what, when, where, and why.
Well, hello, John. Nice to see you. Hi, Peter.
Good to see you.
Well, it's that time of the year, John, where we celebrate the what we call the Grand Armenian Festival, Purpur Festival, and I'll tell you a little bit about what the Purpur is, which is coming up this weekend, by the way. So the festival, it's one of the largest cultural events in the Central Valley. Last year we had close to 4,000 people turn out, and of all walks of life, not just Armenians. We're kind of aspiring to grow to the size of, maybe you could compare it to the Greek festival. So the festival takes place this weekend, Saturday, September 30th, from 10 a.m. to midnight. It's going to be $5 a person. 12 years and under are free, so that's great news for a family of 5 or 7, or how many kids were we talking about just a little while ago? They're siblings of 7. Any kids under 12 are free, and the parking's free, so it's not going to cost you very much to get in. We really just want the people to come and enjoy. It's going to take place at the California Armenian Home.
Okay.
That's actually just down the street from Ventura TV. If you just keep going east, you'll hit the California Armenian Home on 6720 East Kings Canyon Road.
Yeah, and that's just past Fowler, by the way, on the
Correct.
left-hand side if you're
Correct.
traveling eastbound on Kings Canyon.
Correct. And there is a website for people that want to get all the details, and we'll talk about some of those things, which is FresnoArmenianFest.com. The schedule is available, the lineup of the different acts, so if people are familiar with some of the Armenian entertainers, the singers and bands that are out there, that we're going to have 3 of them this year. So I don't know if you want to talk about the food because it's really smelling really good.
We can smell the food. You can't smell it through your television. But I do want to roll a videotape on one of the tapes. We can talk over this. It's the B-roll of the Armenian Fest, and we'll talk over it. And Peter, I want you to chime in here because I don't know. No, that's the dancing, isn't it?
No, that's it. That's it. So there's what you're going to see.
Okay.
You're going to see all sorts of entertainment. There's going to be traditional Armenian dance, and I think we have another video that's just specifically to the dance.
Later on.
There's going to be all sorts of vendors. I think this year we have 14 vendors out there selling everything from jewelry, unique gifts and collectible stuff that's imported from Armenia, to different service providers. You can see there's going to be bounce houses and kids' booths and where they could get games and toys. This is what we're seeing right now on the air. This is the actual what the festival is centered around. Is this 800-year-old Armenian tradition? What you saw the guy there was lifting up grape molasses, and it kind of is like the Americans would think of it as a Thanksgiving. So this is kind of the Armenian version of Thanksgiving.
Right.
And we do this grape molasses, and we brew it at the end of the harvest, kind of signifying a bountiful and fruitful harvest of the grapes. And they start this grape molasses early in the morning, and it brews to the end of the night.
Peter, chime in here.
I love it. I'm just sitting here being entranced by all the food on the table in front of me, and of course looking at some of these videos too. It's kind of fun. This is from my childhood as well.
Yeah, and you went to a lot of festivals as a child?
Well,
Armenian
we lived in
festivals,
an Armenian community, so this was very common. Yeah.
This is traditional Armenian dancing, so people will get a chance to. And then this is a little bit of just more contemporary dancing. The musicians that we're bringing. This is a kind of a traditional Armenian dance-off where the guys will come out and try and pull out their cool moves. And
no problem.
You could see we had a huge turnout last year. We always try and bring 3 acts, and usually we have 2 not headliners, what they call them, the act before the headline. Anyways, and then we have a headliner, and they usually kind of show up at around 10 o'clock, and that's when the crowd really gets wild.
Wow.
Yeah, let's take the lower third down just for a second, so we can now take that 2 shot if you would, Carrie, and you can see the food. There's some of the food on the table right there.
How about I start from here, from my left?
Yeah, you can. Whatever you want there.
Okay, so what we have
what do you
here,
got there?
and I'm trying not to take the plastic so your team here could have some. What we have here are cheese pastries known as cheese boregs. It's a puff pastry filled with phyllo dough and cheese. So it's kind of a vegetarian, no meat involved. And then we have the shish kebabs. This is what's the big popular seller. So the shish kebab. Now we're not doing lamb this year. It's not as popular, so it's going to be beef and chicken. So these are what's called a lula kebab. It's a ground beef minced with onions and put on a skewer and barbecued, and then that's the ground chicken, or not ground chicken, excuse me, chicken kebabs, fillets. Usually served with rice pilaf, pita bread, pocket bread, vegetables. You can see here there's all sorts of vegetables. Peter, you probably know most of these foods.
Yeah, I'm a little sad we don't have the lamb because that's that traditional Armenian, but I understand we got to be popular. So
yeah, most I don't think it wasn't as successful when we've offered it. So most people want the beef. People are kind of picky about that. But but at home, a lot of people they do this with lamb. We have the hummus that's become very popular here in the United States. Now you could find it in your grocery store, but this is going to be all fresh made. We have a master chef that's going to be preparing all the dishes. We just brought him. This is his first year. Came from San Francisco a couple of years ago, and is now going to be heading up the kitchen preparations.
Wonderful.
And over here you've got what?
Well, this. Do you want to talk?
Yeah,
you know about this one.
These are the sarmas, the little rolled grape leaves. My grandmother was the best sarma roller in Fresno at the time. She was doing this a million years ago, so that's really kind of fun.
What about that one, Peter?
The kufta.
The kufta, which is ground beef and minced onions and a cracked wheat.
This is fabulous. You put this in a little chicken broth and cook it up, and then we serve it with some bulgur pilav. Oh my goodness!
And my kids like to just grab them and eat them and walk around the house with them. Like, sit down. And then on the last one, this is like what we would call an eggplant caviar dip. A very similar consistency to a hummus, but it's made with eggplant, and it's put with spices and olive oil and whatnot and garlic, and it's very tasty with bread and meat. And
hey, you go to any festival and you get the traditional dancing. I want to roll a videotape with sound.
yeah.
Let's play a little bit of the dancing at the Armenian Fest in years past. Let's take a look.
So, John, what we're seeing here is some beautiful traditional Armenian costumes, and these are all dancers from a local dance group that performs all over the state, and they're going to be performing at this festival. Tomorrow they'll be featured on KC24, and Alex Delgado's show, so if people want to tune in there, and they'll be able to see a little bit of them as well, or just come out to the festival. There'll be shows all day. The schedule's online at FresnoArmenianFest.com, and so I really recommend coming out.
Yeah, it's at the California Armenian Home on Sunday, right?
Saturday.
Saturday.
It's
Saturday.
like
Okay, I don't want to confuse
day
me.
after
Put that graphic
tomorrow.
back up.
Day
There it is.
after
So
tomorrow.
Saturday, that's right.
Saturday,
September
10 a.m.
30th.
to midnight. We do this only one day a year.
Yeah, it's one day.
Traditionally, it's a 3-day festival back home in tradition,
Yeah.
but we kind of narrowed it down
Saturday, 10 a.m. to midnight, California Armenian Home.
to one day. $5 a person, John. 12 and under free.
Just east of Fowler on Kings Canyon. And by the way, speaking about the California Armenian Home and going to the festival, right, I know you got to get to that information, but I want to ask Peter a very good question. Considering our topic today, Peter, a good place to take a first date?
Yeah, great place.
Really?
I love it, absolutely. Good food, good entertainment, and a chance to talk.
We have 1 minute, so you got to go quick.
On that note, it's beautiful grounds. I mean, you talk about a date, go on a nice walking stroll.
We got 30 seconds now. Go ahead.
We do have, I want to do a plug-in really quick for our biggest sponsor, and this is for the Armenian Fund. They are one of the largest. We do a telethon every year. It'll be on here on MeTV this Thanksgiving every year. They're going to dominate the airwaves from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. People will be able to watch it right here on MeTV for that day on Thanksgiving. People will get to see traditional Armenian dance, bands, performers, and be able to help, contribute to helping the community.
I'm sure we're out of time now. We're getting the wrap here. 30
Okay.
seconds.
Thank
so
you, John.
Peter,
Thank you,
I
Peter.
appreciate it very much, you coming on, and
Always.
changing days so we can talk about the NFL tomorrow. All right, thanks. Good luck with
Thank
that.
you. Thank you, John.
Festival is coming Saturday at the California Armenian Home. And by the way, Ara, you're going to be a guest on Alex Delgado at 3 o'clock on Channel 24. When? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
It'll be very
Okay.
similar, but much shorter. 5 minutes. So.
All right. We'll check it out
Check it
then.
out.
In the meantime, see you tomorrow with the National Football League and taking a knee for the national anthem. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Have a good day.
Armenian Cultural Foundation of Fresno invites you to one of Central California's largest cultural events of the year, the Grand Armenian Festival. Experience breathtaking dance performances, heartwarming children's shows, and dance to energetic live concerts by world-renowned Armenian singers. Enjoy mouth-watering food, Fresno's famous purpur, unique cultural exhibits, gifts, and collectibles,